Okay, we are about to dive into an ancient Greek legal case that honestly sounds like something out of a movie. It's the incredible story of a woman facing a death sentence where her entire defense came down to a shocking last-ditch appeal, not to logic, but to her own beauty.
So let's ask the big question right up front. In a society where the law could be absolutely brutal, what happens when the person on trial is considered a living work of art? Someone who might just be a reflection of the gods themselves.
To really get what's going on in this trial, you first have to understand the defendant. Her name was Phryne, and back in 4th century BC Athens, believe me, everyone knew who she was.
Phryne was what was known as a hetera, and it's so important to understand what that actually meant. We're not just talking about any courtesan. A hetera was often highly educated, totally independent, and super influential in a world where most women were, stuck at home. These were the companions of choice for the most powerful men in all of Athens.
And Phryne? Well, she was the most famous of them all. She had made an absolute fortune, and her beauty was the stuff of legend. So legendary, in fact, that it was widely believed she was the actual model for one of the most famous statues of the ancient world, the Aphrodite of Knidos. Yeah, the goddess of love and beauty herself.
So, you might be wondering, with all this fame, wealth, and influence, how in the world did she end up on trial for her life? Well, let's get to the crime.
To put it simply, her success made people jealous, really jealous. A spurned lover, a guy named Euthias, brought a capital charge against her. And a capital charge meant one thing. If she was found guilty, the sentence was death.
And what was the charge? Impiety, a crime against the gods. Now this was taken with deadly seriousness. And just look at this comparison, it is chilling. Only a few decades earlier, the great philosopher Socrates was executed for the very same crime. This was no minor offense. Phryne was literally fighting for her life.
The man defending her was one of the great public speakers of his day, a guy named Hyperides. And, just to add another layer of drama to the whole thing, he also happened to be one of her current lovers.
So, the stage is set. The trial kicks off in the Areopagus, one of the highest courts in Athens. Hyperides gets up and gives this passionate defense. But you know what? It's not working.
Yeah, despite all his skill, Hyperides could just feel the mood in the room shifting against them. The all-male jury was not buying it. It didn't seem to matter what he said, they were leaning towards a guilty verdict. Phryne was just moments away from being condemned to death.
And this is the moment everything changes. With all his logical arguments failing, and Phryne's life just slipping away, Hyperides decides to do something that had never been seen before in a court of law.
He had one last card to play. It was an act of pure desperation, a complete all-or-nothing gambit that would either save her life or seal her fate for good.
Right there, in the middle of the courtroom, Hyperides walks over to Phryne and tears her robes from her body, exposing her to the entire jury. An absolute stunning silence just falls over the entire court.
So what on earth happens when a legal trial is interrupted by something that shocking? Let's talk about the verdict and the incredible reason behind it.
The jurors were just frozen, totally stunned. According to the ancient writer Athenaeus, they were seized by a superstitious fear. They were looking at the woman who is said to be the living image of the goddess of beauty, and they were utterly captivated.
And this really gets to the heart of how they were thinking. For that jury, this wasn't just about her being attractive. To them, such perfect, otherworldly beauty could not possibly exist in a wicked person. No way. It had to be a sign of divine favor, of innocence. To condemn her would feel like they were defying the gods themselves.
And so, right there on the spot, with no more discussion, they acquitted her of all charges. Just like that. The case was over. Phryne walked out a free woman.
So the big takeaway here is this. Phryne didn't win her case with logic or with evidence. She won because her lover made a desperate theatrical bet that her beauty was the evidence, that it was all the proof of her divine innocence they needed. It was an absolutely astonishing moment where appearance completely overrode the law. And that leaves us with a really fascinating question, doesn't it? The jury, they probably believed they were serving some higher divine justice. But when we look back at it now, was this a clever defense that saved an innocent woman? Or was it a complete and total failure of the legal system? What do you think?